Yeah, this is what it was dropped off on Sunday, and this is the prototype for what's called the 4x1 by a company called Enwins 3D, and it's basically a ready-made model railway, and it allows the kind of person who wants a model railway to play with, might not have the space, might not have the woodworking skills or the electrical skills. They can just buy it off the shelf at a much more competitive price to what a lot of the bespoke layout building companies do. Hi there everyone, welcome back to another video here with me, Jenny Kirk, on the channel. It's really great to see you. I hope I find you well. And today, you probably already noticed, we're in a different location in the house, and the reason for this is that we've been sent for review a new product by Enwins 3D, and this is known as the 4x1. It's available in a choice of 2 different specifications, and I'm going to talk you through these. So I'm really excited to be able to go over this new product with you. So come with me in association with the channel sponsor Trainomatic, makers of DCC decoders and accessories designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. This is the product here from Enwins 3D. You may remember them from the 3D printed Untitled Locomotive and the fireless locomotive that we reviewed some time ago. And this really is quite an ambitious product. The idea behind it, the fundamental philosophy, is that an awful lot of people would love to build a model railway, but don't necessarily feel confident enough to be able to do the woodwork, maybe even the track and the electrics. What they actually want to do is do the fun, creative side, the imaginative side of building up the scenery, making it look just as they want. So what Enwins 3D have done is come up with a product that addresses those problems, and they've managed to make it in a form factor here. As the name suggests, 4 foot by 1 foot is the actual form factor of the layout level itself, and it's designed so that fundamentally it will fit across the back seat of a typical family car, so really easy to transport. So you could even take this to exhibitions. It's designed so that it would fit right in an exhibition environment, but also it can be mounted on something like shelf brackets on the wall of a room. So if you're really pushed for space, this is really great for you. It can be slid on its side underneath something like a bed, put on top of a chest of drawers, or even put on top of a wardrobe. So this is perfect for, say, a child's bedroom where space is at a premium and you want to be able to bring this layout out and maybe have a parent and child model building experience where you can work on the layout and then put it away so it doesn't take up a huge chunk of the space. So perfectly designed for all of those things, and it is also expandable. So one of the things that's pretty obvious over here is that there's a blanked out cutaway. It's been ready cut out and then fixed back in place. So when it comes time to either expand this into another module, or if you want something like a sector plate, a fiddle yard, or even a locomotive cassette to add to the operational interest, this recess here just pushes on out and you can do that. The product is coming in 2 different specifications, I've told. Both of them are fully wired, ready to run. So the woodworking is taken care of, the track laying is taken care of, and the wiring as well, which I know from my own experience, wiring can be a bit of a black art. So that is all taken care of in there and built in. But the first specification is unpainted, but it does come with the controller and transformer as well as this control box on the front. This is common to both different versions. And what you're seeing here are the switches to control the isolating sections. So it's actually possible for you to run 3 different DC locomotives on here independent from each other to add to the operational interest. It's also the case that if you wanted to run this layout on DCC, you can turn every single section to the on position and you can run it as if it's one big section and it will work just fine with that. The actual points are hand thrown and they've got a very positive action there. The springing action makes sure that you've got a very good positive click over to ensure electrical conductivity. This whole set, ready for the railway modeller to just create whatever scene that they want within this area, retails for £265, which actually, when you compare it to some of the custom-made baseboard manufacturers that there are out there on the market, it very much comes in at a much more affordable layout. So certainly if you have children who are looking to do their very first model layout and you want something that you can build together with them, we're looking at something here which is not going to break the bank. The upper specification version retails for £465. So it comes, as you see here, fully painted. The lower spec version has just the bare wood ready for you to do whatever back scene that you want to paint onto it. It also comes with a fully built Enwins Avonside 040 tank, an industrial lookalike, a bit like the ones that used to run at Cadbury's in Bourneville. And that, I've got one of them here. So in the box, fully finished. I'm going to just take this out. And there's also 3 wagons that will come with this as well. A couple of open wagons and a brake van. So I'm just going to put these out. As you can see, it's fully painted and finished. You can detail it, weather it, repaint it if you want. But out of the box, it is a fully functional locomotive from the Enwins 3D range. I'm also going to just get out these wagons as well. So instantly we've got a perfect starter train. So everything that you want and need is in the box and ready to go in the £465 version. It also, both versions come with a controller and all of the cables that you need to be able to wire it in. So I've got the cable here and it's very usefully marked up as well with which end goes to the layout, which end goes to the controller, and what you will find is that on the side of the box that controls the electrics that are going on underneath to make sure that this works flawlessly and easily, there is a little grommet on there that this attaches into. So push fit and then connect to the controller, then it just runs straight out of the box. And it's intended that each of the head shunts will fit the locomotive and the 3 wagons. So when you're doing your shunting, it's not frustrating at all, and hours of fun can be had with this, playing with a parent and child, whiling the day away, playing trains, having fun, and at the end of that day, this whole structure is designed to quickly and easily be put away, out of the way, so it doesn't take over a room. It's equally perfect for, say, if you're a student at university and you're in university digs. Maybe this is something that would allow you to continue with your hobby even whilst at university. If you're in the military and you're away on a posting, this is something that you can easily take with you and keep up with your hobby. Really, the amount of applications for this are limited really only by your imagination. It's also the case that you can add anything extra that you want, locomotive, rolling stock wise. You can chop and change. Everything it works on this. It's a regular Pico Code 100 track after all. What I really like about these as well is that the track's been finished with the rail sides painted. Probably one of my least favourite tasks in building a model railway. And you can see from this that it does add quite a lot to the realism of the track. That's just Pico Code 100 track. But of course, because it's Pico track from the Streamline range, you know that that track is going to be ever so reliable. This upper market version does also come with the static grass applied, but you can add to that. And that's the beauty of this. Effectively, you're in at the ground floor on your model railway. You can use it as is, but you can imagine building up and doing something very personal with this. And for me, it's a bit like in motor racing. They have Formula Ford, where the idea is that everybody starts out with the same and it's about what you do with it. And with this model as well, it very much is about what you do to it to make it your personal model railway. If you want to change the track, it is quite easy to take the track up. It's just pinned down, and that means that you can put a few tweaks in if you so wish. There's also plans to have a kind of competition with these, whereby people who have one of the 4x1s from Enwin 3D can build their own personal model railway, and there will be a competition where these layouts can be exhibited in a virtual model railway exhibition, and there'll be a prize for the best one. And it really is actually a great way of making the hobby so much more accessible. One of the other things that actually has just come to mind is that Zoe for so long has been procrastinating about doing an underground themed layout, and it struck me that actually if you inserted a sort of a street level into here, which would be really quite easy to do, you could build your model of a London Underground station on the lower level, put in the platforms, run your underground stock and just model all of that, and then just up on the surface you have a street in London. And you know, it's what I said to you before, limited only by your imagination. Now we've got some links in the description box down below. They'll take you to where you can order these, either of the specifications, and there's no deposit to pay. Essentially, you put in your expression of interest, and it's only at the point that Enwins 3D are actually making to order those models that you will be contacted and asked to commit to it. So you can put down an expression of interest and it still gives you that breathing space. You're not committing straight away. Delivery in mainland England or Wales is £50, and delivery elsewhere in the United Kingdom is possible too with just an inquiry to Enwins 3D. So if it's something you want to just have delivered to your door, that can be arranged. I've had this here now, I've been playing around with it for about half an hour, and it's really great, I think, that there's so much shunting you can do, but I'm looking at this layout and I'm trying to imagine what I would do with one of these in terms of building up the scenery. And there's so many different options, from something like a small passenger station where this could be the goods yard, or maybe you could go for something very industrial, a bit like my exhibition layout, Grove Street Yard, where I've done a corner of Trafford Park. You know, you could take that, and with something like the Avonside, the prototypes of these, very famous for working at the Cadbury's Bourneville plant in Bourneville in Birmingham. So you could even take that as your inspiration and do something like a corner of the Bourneville works back in the 1930s, say. But I'm looking at this, and actually at the moment I'm getting quite into Welsh prototypes. And I can't help but think that something like this, done out as a kind of bleak, desolate South Wales valleys coal mining area, you could go with some coal mining buildings, some very, very wind-blown vegetation. And whilst we've got this very, very short static grass already applied to the model, it doesn't preclude you from adding more as and when. So I could imagine building up some of this static grass using the much longer threads and getting some really wild countryside in there. Could also use something like scrap polystyrene, or maybe even go with scrunched up newspaper and some plaster bandage and actually build up a landscape. You could work to hide the exit entry point. You could build a bridge across here. There's so many different things you could do to really create an illusion of a much bigger model railway. And one of the things that also struck me is that somewhere like a mainline cutting. Now, one of the really obvious locations is on the approach to Liverpool station in Liverpool. The main station there, the railway line goes through this deep, steep-sided cutting that's cut through the sandstone. And you could imagine maybe even adding a little bit of extra track across here and then modelling that cutting. So you'd have like your sandstone wall at the back, you'd have all of the ground with the ballast, the detritus, the speed restriction signs, maybe even put in some point rodding, some signals, and you could model a section of that kind of Waterloo cutting between a tunnel or a bridge, and that gives you the excuse to even run on this, big mainline locomotive. So you can see that there is so much scope to be able to do so much even within the footprint of 4 foot by 1 foot. You could even, with a few friends, get together, each of you have one of these, and you can work on this kind of module basis where if you agree a standard across the baseboard joins, you could even have a club where each club member has one of these and then go away and build what you want, and then they all join together, so you've got a main line that runs all the way through. And it just makes it so accessible for people for whom building baseboards, laying track, doing the electrics is that stumbling block and that obstacle to getting started and getting to the point where they want to be with making the scenery. And so I think it's a great idea. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how these develop, and maybe in the future as a challenge I could even take on one of these for doing my own build, and you guys can see what I would do with one of these as well. But there's so many great ideas here. So one of the other ideas as well, actually, that's just really come to me is Hornby and Bassett Loc have got the new range of steampunk coming out, and I know that there's a lot of people out there who like the look of those but don't want to maybe commit to turning over their main layout to something like that. So a 4x1 is a very quick and easy way of really doing something totally off the wall, and I could imagine a steampunk themed layout in one of these, and maybe even go full Escher with it. Now, we've experimented with products like the DCC Concepts Power Base, so you could even add trains running on the side, which might be quite an exciting thing to do, and really go to town with a different theme that maybe not is necessarily your core modelling, but nonetheless you want the opportunity to give that scenic side of things a go. So I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing here, so I'm going to have a play with this and just feed my imagination. And at the bottom of it all, the root of it all, this product from Enwins 3D is all about allowing you to feed your imagination without getting bogged down in perhaps the elements of railway modelling that you really don't enjoy the prospect of doing. Well, I hope you really enjoyed this video, and don't forget we've got some links in the description box down below. If this is a product that really interests you, you can go follow those links and you can find where to order some of these for yourself. And don't forget as well, let them know that Jenny sent you and there will be a discount off your order. But until next time, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you here again. Until then, take care and happy modelling. Bye for now. Today's video is sponsored by Trainomatic, makers of DCC decoders designed to be fully compatible with every manufacturer's locomotive. Visit train-o-matic.com to browse the full range and see what they've got suitable for you. I'd like to send out a huge thanks to everybody who supports me on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to Anthony Kidson, Michael Churchwood, Anthony Hunt, William Wade, Wayne Johns, Offshore Allen, oorail.co.uk, Tepic, Michael Lockie, Helen Sink, Peter Bolton, Brian Smith, Brian and Dorothy Mudd, Gary Lewis, David Quinn, Trish Bits, Sparky 107107, George Botterini, Andy Finch, Chris Moss, Robert Sears, MD of San Juan Model Company and Grant Line Products, Sam Yates, and Dale Williams. Thank you. Without you guys, I couldn't do this.